everyone? We are back for another episode of the Doomslayer saga, in which we have the Doomslayer go through multiple fictional universes and discuss how he would interact with the characters, possible fights, if the universe would even pose a challenge to him. And for the first time, I think he might actually have real competition here. Now, sure, the higher deities of the Marvel Universe are definitely going to be able to be above the Doomslayer. But, in terms of the ones that would actually interact with him, some of those he might be able to actually still fight against. Now, would he win against these high-tier deities? Maybe, maybe not. Really just depends. Now, to go through the little list of follow-up questions, first, the Doomslayer's interaction with the Avengers. The lower tier ones are going to be absolutely terrified of him. This man's aura alone is going to have them freaking out. Now, sure, once they get to know him, they might be more used to him, but they are still going to be intimidated by his aura. And then with the top tiers, like Hulk and Thor, they are going to be very impressed by his physique, very impressed by his power and abilities. And honestly, I would love to see if they were to have, even if it was just a sparring session between Doomslayer and the Hulk, or Doomslayer versus Thor. Could you imagine the kind of explosive shockwave that would happen if the Doomslayer's blade were to clash with Mjolnir? Screw them hitting each other, just the clash of their weapons might genuinely cause tremors across the universe. Next, with the X-Men. In terms of physical power, I don't personally remember any X-Men that would be able to pose a challenge. In terms of abilities, though, Doomslayer would be very intrigued. Now, I don't see him pulling a Goku and just being like, hey, let me test myself against each of these guys. But I do think he would have a personal list in his mind of, if he were to have to fight, which of them would he want as support and or allies in general. Because Doomslayer has a lot of power. But he would definitely think that certain characters from the X-Men would be insane as backup and or just people that would be able to be a perfect asset in the battlefield. Spider-Man, not really sure how that interaction would go. It would be interesting to see, but I'm not sure how to pinpoint how it would go exactly. But for Ghost Rider, this one is going to be, at first it's going to be really tense. Like, really tense. And I'm not sure if the Penance Stare would work on Doomslayer. Like, sure, the Penance Stare is very powerful. And if Doomguy has any regrets, and Doomslayer were to be affected by the Penance Stare, those might be a problem. But I'm not entirely sure, because the Punisher doesn't feel any guilt for the things that he did, and he wasn't affected. If the Punisher is unaffected by the Penance Stare, I don't think the Doomslayer would be either. Now, outright penance? That would probably be an issue. But hey, that's assuming if Ghost Rider were to even view him as a threat, rather than just viewing him as some kind of supernatural level ally. And if those two were on a team, I pray for whoever has the misfortune of going against the Doomslayer and Ghost Rider on the same team. Next, if he were to have to fight against someone like Dr. Doom, physically he would probably be able to overpower him, but in terms of the Doomslayer versus Dr. Doom, the mystic arts versus the demonic magic that the Doomslayer can use is going to be a clash of mystic arts that would be absolutely insane to witness. It would pretty much be a spectacle unforeseen. This level of mystical power would be a spectacle to the universe as a whole, and I'm not sure whose magic would come out on top. Because although Dr. Doom is more knowledgeable about the mystic arts, and his abilities are more varied, I think the Doom guy's magic It's just mystical abilities have a higher cap to them, at least when we're just talking like base to base. Now, obviously, if this was like Emperor Doom or something like that, then that's a different question. But if we're just talking standard Doctor Doom, that would be very intriguing to see how it would go. And lastly, if he were to go against Thanos, if it was base Thanos, I could see Thanos viewing him as just as much of a threat to his rule as he views Hulk. Because for those that don't know, Thanos actively tries to avoid fighting Hulk in a prolonged fight, but if he has to, he tries to take him out very quickly. I think he would try to do something similar with the Doomslayer, and he would only feel confident enough to confront the Doomslayer if he had multiple Infinity Stones, if not the entire gauntlet. If he didn't have the stones or the gauntlet, I think he might just outright avoid the Doomslayer. Because, call me biased, but I think a base Thanos without the gauntlet doesn't stand a chance in hell against the Doomslayer. I'm not saying that Thanos without the gauntlet is weak in the comics. Like, he's strong still. But Doomslayer level, I'm not entirely sure that's going to be possible for him. But yeah, this is, out of every one of the universes the Doomslayer has gone to, this is by far the first one in which Doom Guy might actually have challenges that he won't be able to just brute force his way through. Like, he'd actually have to bring in some tactics. He had to use his entire arsenal, plus have allies in certain fights, rather than just one-man army trucking his way through everything in his opposition.